And for more on the lingering war in Ukraine and the U.S. trade war across nations, global affairs analyst Collins Oweke joins me from Belgium. Good to have you join us.
Thank you for having me, Precious.
So the report we're getting is that President Trump has criticized President Putin for attacking Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. And I mean, this is a significant shift from President Trump's earlier tone, where he himself excoriated President Zelensky. What's your read of the situation?
Well, a contradictory and pretty astonishing one for that matter, because come to think of it, one of the persons in the world that actually emboldened Putin was President Trump himself. And I mean, it looks like, the seed that he planted just immediately after taking over office as president for the second time is actually germinating now in, President Putin, who felt, like I said earlier, emboldened by, President Trump's, pronouncements against Ukraine. But, I mean, we cannot, conclusively draw that conclusion because he did leave some leeway in the statement he made, on Air Force One when he said that he thinks Putin is going to be good. Now, it could well be that he has already sensed the fact that Putin, in fact, is actually, trying to push him under the bus. But being that eternal optimist, is not admitting that, and essentially, still trying to leave, the door at ajar that things might come on well. And it does look like, Russia is taking that bait because if you listen to the, the Kremlin spokesman, he actually played down the severity of the matter, saying that conversations are ongoing. So let us see where that conversation goes beyond the threat that, Donald Trump has said is going to impose. The threat of, sanctions, secondary sanctions, that he's going to impose on Russia.
And that comment coming from the Kremlin spokesman that talks are ongoing, one can also say is quite vague and ambiguous, not really specific. And you also mentioned the secondary sanctions that Trump has threatened to impose on Russia if it does not follow through with a ceasefire. But sanctions have never really deterred Putin. So how serious is that? And do you think it would impact the negotiations?
Well, it's a threat. And like you mentioned, Precious, Putin has never shown himself to be worried by sanctions. I mean, that's not to say that sanctions are not, having their tolls on Russia. They are certainly having their tolls on Russia. But a secondary sanction on oil is not directly targeting Russia, but targeting those who are exporting from Russia, who are importing oil from Russia. Now, what that means, Precious, I mean, in case, the viewers don't quite understand what is going on here, is that Russia will be affected slightly, but the global oil market is going to be affected because let's not forget that Russia controls about 10% of, global oil. And so what that means is that the prices of oil is going to go up. Even in Lagos, in Nigeria, where you are, it means that, the cost of, fuel is going to go up, even though Nigeria might make a bit of a profit there because, of course, the demand for Nigerian oil might increase, So, I mean, it just shows the level of frustration that, Donald Trump is dealing with, not seeing anything more severe that he can do apart from, that, secondary tariff. So we'll see how it plays out.
And I specifically like that you said frustrations, because it would seem as though he's lashing out because he feels like he's losing control of the situation. Is there an indication that these negotiations may not produce the swift conclusion that he promised during the campaign?
Definitely, it's far from it. I mean, Precious, let's not forget that he did promise the world that he's going to end the war in 3 days. And I mean, he's been in office now for how long? More than 3 months or something of that nature. So from three days to 3 months, that's already something. So I mean, if we want to be realistic, I mean, we can't be looking at what he said during the election. So the reality now is that he knows that it does look very, very strongly that the deal he thought is going to cut with Putin is not holding. And like the Ukrainian president said from the outset, he doesn't want a deal. He wants, a trustable path to peace, a sustainable path to peace. And ultimately, that is probably what, they should be looking at right now.
And he's also looking for security wider security guarantees. But I wanted to bring this report that we're getting from the Kremlin. We understand that the head of Russia's Sovereign Wealth Fund, that's Kirill Dmitriev, has said that Washington and Moscow have begun discussions of projects, and they are related to Russia's rare earth metals. We seem to be hearing a lot of minerals deal, from Washington, whether it's with Ukraine. Now we're hearing Russia, and then there is also one in the works with DR Congo. Do you also get the sense that this is more like a support for the highest bidder?
Well, I mean, this can certainly not surprise anyone who has followed Donald Trump's trajectory. The gentleman is a businessman, but in politics, he's also a transactional politician. Now, some might say, well, he's just there to, seek a balance and all of that. No. For him, the bottom line is America's interest. And so when he says America first, that's essentially what it means. Now, it doesn't bother him if those minerals are mined by kids, his grandchildren's age. As long as he delivers the goods for the Americans, he is fine with that. And then himself, his family fortune as well. So yes, that is essentially his target. If you are ready to play games with America, to play the balls with America in terms of surrendering your natural resources, Donald Trump is there for you. Tell him what you need, and he will find one way or the other to make it happen. He's not one of those that, focuses on the moral high ground or what the rest of the world will say. For him, it's America and America only.
Interesting developments we'll continue to follow up on and see how the ceasefire negotiations play out. Thank you so much for your time. As always, always a pleasure to have you on. A global affairs analyst, Collins Oweke.
Thank you. Thank you, Precious, for having me. Bye.